Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Gig Member Q&A call. Today is Tuesday, May the 23rd. Your host, Scott Massey and James Cronk with you. James, great to see you. And, today's call is going to be a very informative one because as club managers, I think this is quite often one of the areas that we understand the least. The strategic aspect of kitchen operations is something that I think not only most club managers don't have a firm grasp on, but it might be safe to say, chefs as well. So, we understand how to create wonderful food, and we understand, what wonderful food is, and the overall operations at a club are something that obviously club managers have their finger on without a problem. But, when it comes to understanding just that strategic aspect of how a kitchen works, and when it's not working effectively and efficiently, those suboptimal kitchen layouts can really hinder how efficient the kitchen operates, and that ends up leading to things like slow build times and food that isn't as good as it could be. So we're going to learn a lot today, I think, from our guest Mike Holtzman. There's no doubt about that.
Scott, you couldn't be more bang on. 100%. It's I got a quick story for you because I'm working with a club right now, and we're a chef. We were having a meeting with some members, and I love the story that he gave, which is that he said he'd worked in the private restaurant business for 20 years, and then he's been working in the club business for 3 years. And his story was that now that he's been in the club business, he realizes how easy it is to run a restaurant because the point is that, he's like, his story goes like this, if I'm an Italian restaurant, I make 8 pasta dishes. If you like my dishes, you come to the restaurant, you eat, we stay open. The next night, we keep doing it over and over again. If you don't like my food, you go somewhere else and you do whatever you got to do. But I never see you again. I never hear from you again. But I'm an Italian restaurant making pasta. Yeah. In the club business, we're the lounge after golf. We're also the place for the anniversary dinner, the special anniversary dinner. We're the take and grab and go when you're going through the 10th hole. We're your daughter's wedding. So there's a multi-service facility, right, that has to meet so many things and so many demands. So I love talking about food and beverage because it is such a challenging topic, and because so many clubs are always looking for ways to improve upon it. And so let's not delay. Let's get our special guest in, our expert, our guru, Mr. Mike Holtzman from Profitable Food Facilities Worldwide. Mike, it is so wonderful to have you back as a golf industry guru because I just love your brain. You are the smartest guy, in my opinion, in the F&B, hospitality, efficiency, kitchen, and menu design and menu creation and all kinds of other things. So thanks, Mike, for joining us, bud.
Absolutely, man. I love hearing your stories, and I'm just running through my head. And I was just at a very high prestigious club 2 weeks ago playing golf, got the privilege to play there, that hosted a PGA event just 2 weeks prior. And so we got there a little early and we're having lunch, and I'm like looking at my watch and I'm like, it's been 40 minutes and I just ordered a Caesar salad and my buddy ordered a club sandwich and it's 40 minutes. Good thing we're not in a rush today to make my tea time, and that's a place that just hosted thousands and thousands of people, and we're struggling with, 6. I saw there were 7 tables in there. And we all kind of sat down at the same, but not really, but you know what I mean? Just 20, 30 covers and we're struggling, and so, and then, server's like, oh, don't worry, your food's going to be out in just a minute. Everybody's trying really hard. And sometimes that's it. We're all trying hard. Maybe it's the space that we're in that's just not the best functioning space that if we followed some, the guidelines of design, that somehow clubs got their own. I can literally say, do you have 4 hot wells in the middle of your kitchen? Do you only have 2 shelves? Do you have very little working space? Do you only have 24 inserts on your line? And what's funny is those 4 questions are yes 90% of the time. And all those things are wrong. All the things you don't want in a kitchen. very little working space, hot wells I don't use, no place to land my plates, and I'm not pivoting. So then it doesn't matter as much when I have 4 tickets, but it sure matters when I have 14.
So Mike, we've had you on before. We've got some of your wonderful content on our platform. But for those listening around the world in Gig Nation, just maybe let's start before we get into some questions, because we had lots of questions that were submitted when we talked about having you on our platform today on our live Q&A call. We got lots of great questions from our audience from Gig Nation. So,
Awesome.
but before we do that, maybe just share a little bit with everybody your background about what you do, who you do it with. I know you're all over the place. I know you've done some work in even British Columbia, here in beautiful British Columbia recently with one of our gig clients. So tell a little bit more about Mike Holtzman and what you guys do.
Sure. Yeah. So I've been, I started in my career when I was 15, cooking breakfast at my private high school because they paid us $5. And so I thought that was a really good way to make some money, making just some toast and some eggs every day. But it's kind of got me into I got to work with the kitchen manager. I was kitchen manager on my junior and senior year. And I'm like, maybe this is something interesting. And I said, no, I'd rather do pinball machines. So that lasted a year. I flunked out of engineering school and then found out that, yep, restaurant was my passion. Got my degree in restaurant management at Cal Poly Pomona, the only West Coast school besides UNLV that had it at the time. And then did good 10 years of chain work, really understanding the functionalities of SOPs and the importance of how kitchens should lay out and, getting some sense of that. And then stepped out on my own and did my first speech at CMAA in 1998. So 25 years later, here we stand. I had 400 people in that room and I was a little bit new, right? So I was a little bit new to club world and they were, I was like, what do you mean you're running a 40% cost of goods and a 50% labor? That's not how this works. So they said I had more comments than anybody else. I had 256 comments of the 400 people there. And I had people saying, absolutely the best speaker on point that's ever spoken at our club, to the most pathetic individual in the world who has no idea what he's talking about. And so it was perfect because you kind of spur it up there, right? So 31 years later, here I stand, almost 900 projects in 49 states. Over 300 of those are club specific. Over 400 speeches that we've spoken at in conference to assist people in education about how to do this food and beverage part. And, it's been a great ride. I mean, we've I got 850 ideas walking into your facility each time because I just got one from each place. So it's a lot of fun, just to see around the world what's going on.
And Mike, so and tell me, and Scott, I think this might be one of our very first questions, I think, but let's get into it because I want to make sure we give as much time to Mike as possible to give feedback to our membership. So, but let's just, before we talk about, specific technologies or trends the club managers should be aware of. I guess, let me alter that a little bit, Mike, and ask you this. What's new in the world of challenging in the club business from food and beverage? Like, what's going on that we all know things? Last time we chatted was pre-COVID. The last time we probably were kind of doing some conversation and you and I have known each other for many years and have spoken in conferences together. And so in your world right now, like when you're picking up the phone, what are people wanting to talk to you about? What's happening?
Yeah, I think that there's, some of it, a little bit of it is still the same. We get that, gosh, everybody sits down on Friday night at the same time and all these covers come in at once. And what do we do? That's a common one that hasn't gone away. I mean, in fact, it's happening more now because we didn't get to be social during COVID. We couldn't be together as much as we wanted to be. All the tables were 6 feet apart and we were 6 feet apart from each other. Right. So now that's all coming back and the gathering is getting that people are wanting even more times of getting a la carte at their club. In fact, they're being brought back into that. Right. Still the same pieces around WOW where there's a lot of family. There's not a lot of formal anymore. We're almost all the formal settings that we're finding are being repurposed for different things. So it's all around fast casual. And sometimes you're the golfer and it's just, you can sense it from the members. It's like, I can't go there 30 minutes before my tee time because I can't guarantee I'm going to get my hamburger before I get out the door. So some of those things haven't changed. And it still, to me, relates a lot back to these two things. There is not a staff person that comes in and goes, I really want to work slow today. I want to make sure that James Kronk's burger is late. That's my goal. I'm coming in to do that, right? So they're not coming in with that. The servers aren't coming in with that. The management doesn't have that intent. So why isn't the food coming out? And so that's why it does relate back to the kitchen. The good news is there is a solution for that. 2 of the last ones we just did in the last couple of weeks are less than 130,000 to do the remodel, right? We can be down for less than 7 days to fix it. And it's not a lot of expense. So that's the good news. On your technologies question piece here, that's really cool. There's some really cool technology that's coming out. There is a pizza oven that's been made by Turbo Chef that's ventless that we've now put in at 4 country clubs that'll make a pizza in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It'll make 10 7-inch pizzas in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It'll make 2 16-inch pizzas in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's game changer, right? We're not on a conveyor waiting for this pizza to come out. And then all of a sudden you get a rush in the bar and 5 or 6 of them come, and that last pizza is going to be 30 minutes. There's nothing you can do. It's the speed of the conveyor. That works great for Domino's, by the way, because Domino's delivers and has 30 minutes. We don't have 30 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. So here's this piece that flips around that, by the way, every Panera Bread has this oven, right? That's how they're doing pizza. That's how they're doing grilled sandwiches. That's how you're doing a giant pretzel in 40 seconds. These things are really helpful to us, in our simple bar menu that we want to get something out quick. So ventless technology is here. John Tapper is actually doing a whole concept. We got to meet with him about 7 weeks ago. He's the one in Bar Rescue, right? So we're looking to potentially collaborate. Hopefully that all comes through.
Good luck.
But he was talking about his ventless kitchen, and how that he's trying to work in a plan so that you don't even have to have hoods. And then he shares, except that it's coming out to about the same cost. So there's not necessarily a lot of savings with it. But it still has some solutions, especially in New York and tight areas and all with this. But even in club world with this piece, especially with this pizza piece, the feedback we're getting is phenomenal. Like, wow, we can put out things so much quicker. Like they're waiting on the pizza while they finish the hamburger up before they pop that thing in for 2 minutes. That's a good position to be in.
So Mike, you mentioned something there about the fact that moving more towards fast casual and away from fine dining. Mm-hmm. So, and we've got members obviously all over the world in Gig Nation, and obviously each of our members have their own kind of niche or their own market or their own clientele, obviously, that have those kinds of things. But if we talk about generalized kind of trends, and obviously when we talk about some of those clubs, I believe in the United States they do clubs right. They do clubs right in the United States, that's for sure. And so you're saying, I assume that, we're kind of converting some fine dining space that maybe is only used on a Friday night and making it a little more into that kind of fast casual, kind of expanding the space. Would that be fair to say, or talk more about that?
Yeah, the spaces are definitely, when we're looking at the remodel piece, there's the central bar, right? And then there's the tall tops. And then there's the shorter tops that are built around the bar because everybody wants to belly up to the bar, get a drink, be with my friends. And then sometimes it's like, and then we're all going to move to dinner, or there's some that have seating arrangements. We like 60 to 80 in that bar sitting space, give or take, depending on the size of your membership. We like it spilling out for outside. That's a big, big trend of getting outside, right? Which is also starting to happen. That's why we're getting more calls too on, the membership wants to add another 40, 60 seats outside. We still have the same kitchen. That just popped us another 15 tickets on top of the 20 we already have. What do we do? And that's a real issue, that needs to be worked through. From a menu trend standpoint, though, and back to that piece, Kitchen Solutions can solve that. Back to the remodel piece, so we can do it. We really can. It's really crazy how this makes such a difference. The efficiency changes 150 to 100% when we're done with these kitchen remodels, right? So you could do 20 tickets, now you can do 40 in the same amount of time. So that's real big. Menu trends, though. Look, we still have an older group of membership. It's not everybody's in their 40s coming into the club, right? We still have that generation. That generation is very, very much the same. I want salmon with broccoli and my baked potato, right? That's because that's what they're used to. So we need to give them what we kind of call a classic menu. We always recommend that a classic menu should be on there. Fried chicken may be on that if you're down in New Orleans, right? Think a meatloaf. Yep, you might even have liver and onions, right? That might be just one of those classic things that for that generation, most of us look and go, what are you talking about? Because someone like me who is 60 did grow up on liver. And sometimes we even got the specialty called calf's liver, which was 30 cents more a pound back when I was growing up and not, one of the rich kids of the world, right? That's what our parents fed us. So when you say liver and onions to me, I'm like, that's kind of a cool dish. I wish I could get that. And a lot of people look at me like, what are you talking about? But you put that on the classic side. So having those go-tos that you always know look good, a soup, you need a go-to soup. I love the creativity of, different flavors of soup when they're talking about, when you're away from chicken noodle and vegetable beef, right? Those are go-tos. You know what you're going to get. You know what it tastes like. It's not something you should make in a bag. It's something you should make fresh. And you make those the go-to. Or chili, right? The club chili should be knock your socks off chili. Those are your go-to. Now play with cream of mushroom and cream of broccoli and all these other things that you want to add, to those seasonal soups that are great, but always have a go-to on your menu. So, because that's the things where, okay, that'll take care of a good chunk of the membership. Obviously a nice burger, but I'm not a fan of 8-ounce. Like some reason, 8-ounce burger is a standard in a club. But the problem is cook time, right? I'm going to take 9 minutes to cook that burger. So if you really, really want an 8-ounce, can we please get 2 quarter pounders and stack them together and double cheese, double meats, called double at In-N-Out Burger, right? So have one of those so that you're not relying on this 8-ounce cooking thing. Because if you read your tickets and then you're reading these over here that you miss, oh crud, there's a medium well burger. That's why it takes 35 minutes sometimes. So be a little creative in your specs so that you can keep up with things. And the burger's a really good example of that, right?
Mike, I love it when surveys always say we want healthier options on the menu, and then the ticket count has chicken wings is the number one seller year over year over year. But where are things at right now with regards to kind of healthier food? Whether it's organic, whether it's locally grown. And there's also the realities of that from a food cost standpoint, from a finding the product standpoint. So what are your thoughts about that?
I think it's important my wife's vegan, right? And we just joined the Golf Club of Oklahoma. So I am now on the other side. I'm a member now. It's kind of fun to be on the member side a little bit. Actually, it kind of helps because understanding it from all aspects, to see that. So what we've done is that I've called the chef the day before and I said, hey, we're going to be there for Valentine's Day and my wife's vegan. Can you take care of her for me? And, Chef Tyler's been awesome. He's like, heck yeah, I've got you covered. I got you taken care of. Brings out this 5-course, beautiful vegetarian piece for us. Now, you can't do that for everybody, right? But I think, should vegan be on the menu? Absolutely. Should gluten-free be part of your bun surplus that you carry? Yes, we need to have that. Should you have a little bit of creativity in vegan dishes? I think so. I think it might be something that you do once a week. That you say, hey, tonight's our vegan special. We always do a vegan special on Thursdays. That creates people of having to come. Well, if I'm going to get the vegan special, I better be there on Thursday, right? I love burger night, like burger night on Wednesday or Tuesday, a slower day where we've seen clubs that have not 100 people, not 200 people. They have 350 people show up at DC Ranch in Arizona on burger night, right? That's awesome. Who cares that it's only $10? It doesn't matter that you're downsizing your price for a little bit. You're creating socialization on a dead night, so menus that attract that piece. And I know that sometimes they say, well, we get in the club world, it's like, well, I want scrambled eggs on Saturday night because I want it, I want an omelet. And that's an opportunity to not just only be upset for the moment in the back of the house. Why are you doing this to me? But it's a walkout to that person. You say, you know what? I'm so excited that you're here eating and I love making your scrambled eggs. Here's my card. And the next time, can you please text me so that I can have this ready for you so I'm not scrambling? And I do that in the middle of the table, embarrassing him in front of everybody. Not embarrassing, communicating, right? George, why did you order those eggs this night? Look what you did to the chef, right? It's okay that happens. You're creating socialization around that. So maybe he'll think about it next time. But more importantly, I gave him my card. I now have a personal relationship with him that he wants something special. I'll take care of him. So that's integrating that into club world.
Yeah, and that's so critical what you said there, in the sense that in the club world we get to have these relationships with our members, if we have members, right, or regulars.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that they're going to keep coming back. They're a regular customer. They're not just a stranger that we're never going to see again. So if we have members at your club, that's certainly one of the things that can make it happen. Scott, what's our next little question? Because I think it's kind of getting into another area here. Yeah. So I mean, when you talk about build times, obviously, also the challenge is that we've got a revolving. We're very likely down a sous chef or down a line cook or down someone in the back of the house one way or the other. We're probably not operating on a full complement of staff. If we're lucky, we are. Then we're really lucky. And even if we are really lucky to have a full complement of staff, it might be possible that we haven't kind of trained them as much as we hopefully would want to, or that they're an experienced cook, because it's tough to find people to work in kitchens these days. I'm sure it's the same problem in Oklahoma as it is in most of the rest of North America, if not other places. So have you seen anything in your travels, Mike, that's really kind of been a best practice as far as a way that a club's been able to get people in the kitchen or take care of them in the kitchen?
I think part of it is, let's get a little bit to the factors here. And I'm sure that when you come into a club and you say, what are your 3 biggest challenges? Just the first question that we usually ask, staffing is usually one of those 3, right? We're just having trouble with staff. All right. So why are we having trouble? Well, number one, we usually have to ask for directions about where even the club is. We're not on a street corner that says now hiring, right? We're tucked in a community somewhere in the back somewhere. And there's usually some gate guard that's saying that you're not allowed in because you're not a member. Right. So that's one philosophy. Number one is when somebody comes up to the gate and is asking to fill out an application, either the gate person should have the application for them, or we need to contact somebody immediately, but don't dish them off. And I've protested this many times where I come up and just say, hey, I'm looking to see about becoming a cook. Oh, you need to go make this phone call and like you just chased me away. Right. And then I go, I'm just kidding. I'm actually the club consultant working with the food and beverage. You actually helped me a lot about how we treat our staff, right? You just scared them off. So now a lot of our applications are coming from Indeed or online or those type of things. So here's what I really like. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with Jeff McFadden, and he's got the #1 club in, Philadelphia, Union League of Philadelphia. He was rated number 9 when he took over the club. He's now #1 and been #1 for 4 straight years. So he's doing something right down there. And we had a chance to talk to him a little about the staffing thing, but from another level, managerial level. He looked at me and said, did you know that I've produced 8 general managers? I've had 8 AGMs come through my doors and recommended them to 8 other clubs. And I'm like, I'll bet you don't have any problem getting manager staff. He goes, nope, because they all know that if you become my AGM, you have a really good chance of becoming a general manager at another place. So he's getting these top-notch people. Hey, let's drop this down a level to the hourlies. If you're a chef, what are you in business for? What legacy do you want to leave at your club, right? It's being the train, the feed. Come to my place and I will make you, my goal is to make you a sous chef. When you're ready, I'm going to send you out to go work at another club because I've got another sous chef right behind me that wants to learn just like you. So it's a different philosophical approach. You don't post your ads of come work for us. It's come train to be a chef. I'm going to take you through those steps and train you to do that level. It's not going to be a week. This is not millennial world, right? You don't come in 2 weeks, you're trained chef. You've got to go through the steps. You've got to understand purchasing. You got to understand ordering. You've got to understand scheduling. You've got to crush this line. You've got to run this line better than anybody else, because how can you teach anybody if you can't do it, right? SOPs are really big in the back of the house. They lack significantly. You got to have a set training for this program for these guys. And the big test is everyone cross-trained? Just ask that question. Can that person work that side of the line? Can that person work that side of the line? Because you don't want it to be like, oh gosh, Joe isn't showing up. Our broiler's done. We have no chance tonight. No, get everybody cross-trained. It's not that hard. And managers coming in, another big piece about this staffing piece, like we just go, all right, great. Mike's here. He's the new dining room manager. Go. Like, okay. I mean, I've been in the club business for 4 years, and then a month in, you're like, gosh, Mike doesn't really know very much about his job. Well, what did we do? We just threw him out there and hoped that he could perform. Hey, you know where your first day is at every job? The dish pit. The dish pit. You go work that dish pit. Get to know Alberto and Joe, who works the dish line, right? Have them teach you about it. And by the way, bring in 10 plates that aren't scraped so you can feel what that's like when plates don't get scraped, right? The next day should be on the cook line. In fact, it's not a day, it's a week. You work every station, even though you might just be standing there watching him saute and you might learn to flip a pan or two and cook a fish. That's where you should be your first week. I mean, because you're intertwined with your staff, you start to learn how they are, you make this connection. And now when you're a dining room manager and something's not cooked right, you're not looked at, scoffed at, that you don't even know what you're talking about, right? You really know it because you created a relationship. So management staffing, we need to look at the whole program. We look at that in a different way and integrate our people. And I really believe in hourly staffing is making a program where we become the feed. You go to the universities, these schools, and you say, we are not just hiring people. We are going to bring people through and train them in the world of culinary. And I'm going to be the personal teacher to do that. And you go to the school and do your half-hour presentation, right? And drop a bunch of cards because you will get lots and lots of applicants. So can't just hire people. We have to take it on in a new way.
No, that's great. That's great. I couldn't agree with you more, Mike. And I think that, like you said, when you talk about Jeff in Philadelphia and other clubs, there's no doubt that those clubs that are never searching for staff seem to always be a great place to work. They have a great environment. They have a great culture. They invest in their people. You know, they really believe in training and development. They really believe in, you know, flexibility and innovation and listening to people. I mean, you can give it a lot of lip service all you want, but if you practice what, you know, the best preach, then, you know, you can really not have that kind of staffing challenges that so many people are facing. I would say that the best places don't have a staffing challenge. It's the places that don't take care of their people. So no, I couldn't agree with you more. Scott, what's the next question? I think that came from one of our gig members.
Yeah, we're going to talk about food trucks next. And then also just a friendly reminder for everybody who is live with us right now. If any comments that you want to share, questions you have that you want to post in the live chat, feel free to do so. We definitely left some time today for that. So if you want to throw a curveball at Mike or us, feel free to do so. But yeah, here's our next question about food trucks and just, you know, can they serve as a profitable revenue stream at clubs? And, you know, what kind of things should we be thinking about if we're going to go down this path to make sure they're financially, you know, feasible at a club?
And if I may, Mike, I want to add a little bit to that because you know, one of the things certainly that I'm also hearing is that, you know, we can't be open 7 days a week, 24/7 with 5 different food stations with our 10th tea and our breakfast and our late night and, you know, all the and then 12 months of the year if that happens to be our business, or if we have to be a seasonal business and in the low season, in the shoulder season. So is there a way, you know, for other resources to kind of support some of those high-end costs when we don't have the traffic?
Right. I think, you know, one of the things that came out of COVID at one of the clubs that we worked with is that because they had to kind of literally shut down their internal operations, they set up 2 different trucks. One was a coffee truck and the other was the truck at the turn, right? So they were doing grilling hamburgers and hot dogs and making a simple club sandwich at one of them and making all the coffee drinks and smoothies and little pastries at the other one. And those 2 carts are still at the club. They didn't take them away because what they found is what a great solution for their turn and what a great solution for their coffee in the morning, then which could even potentially be integrated, right? It could be a coffee in the morning with a lunch truck. But again, remember, these trucks are really tight. You have to understand these. Like you have requirements to even open. You have to have a hand sink. You have to have a triple sink. You're going to need a hood space. Okay, that just took up 14 feet of your trailer. And if you have a 14-foot trailer, that's all you got. Where's your refrigeration and freezer and storage? So 20-foot minimum is what we say to this. I love trailer over truck. I don't think there's a reason to pay another $30,000 for an engine. I think that we can tow it wherever we need it to go. So, and then it can be a couple different ways. It can be the 2 things I described, right? If you don't have those services available, or if we're going to move it around for the member guest, you know, to certain key holes that can turn into a fresh grill spot at certain locations, or restock place for that. So I do not like bringing in other people's trucks though, unless you're going to do it like just as a special day, You're going to pick another slow night. We're just struggling with Thursday nights. Okay, we're going to do food truck Thursdays for the month of September, right? And bring it in. I saw a food truck event we were at Disney Fort Wilderness, right? And they had food truck day, and the concepts were off. They just like, you could see there was people like, they just didn't pick the right ones, where people were excited about using them. So be a little aware of the concept. That's why I like controlling it, because if I've got refrigeration, freezer, fry capability, and I can grill outside, right? So if I can do that, I can create my own concepts of what I'm going to do, because I'll have burners for stir fry. I'll have fries for, fried chicken. I can integrate it in. And then, like I said, I love just the part where I give you bun, lettuce, and tomato and send you to the grill, outside to do the burger part. So I'm not trying to cook it inside this little teeny truck. I got my firepower out here, and then I'm just putting your garnish on and your chips or your French fries and giving you all that inside the truck, because I'm working in an 8x12, 8x14 working space, 112 square feet, so we're not going to have 4 guys in there tossing and turning. But that's the thing that they have a place. And I think that every club should have their own truck that can be, integrated into grilled cheese some days, burgers another day, and even, stir fryer pasta night into another night. So that's the way I like to use them.
I think the other thing I would add to that is that, you don't need a food truck to take your kitchen outside of the kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, so, like even just setting up the barbecue on the 10th hole or on going out in the golf course on 13 and having an ice cream stand or popcorn and margaritas, on the hole number 3. Like, I mean, there's all kinds of different ways to add a food experience outside of the clubhouse. And I think that's what gets people kind of jazzed and excited. It's something new. It's something different. It's like, oh, it's like a surprise treat when you show up and walk around the corner and all of a sudden there's someone there doing something cool on the golf course. And so I don't think it doesn't also necessarily have to be a truck. Does not also necessarily have to be a huge barbecue. It can be all kinds of things you can just kind of do, right, that creates that kind of experience.
When you're sitting on the 10th tee, waiting to tee off, and some guy's got a charbroiler next to you with a burger or a hot dog that's ready to go, and you're a private club, like, how can you not eat that? It's just, exactly. But if it's inside, steps stop me from going in, communicating with somebody. I got someone on my butt at the 9th green, that's going to chase me out. I can barely get to the bathroom if I'm not careful. Right. Our club is like, if you don't finish in 3 hours and 45 minutes, they're going to remove your membership. Like they're that's the best part about Oklahoma. And they can do it. So keep them moving. We'll have that thing right at the 10th tee, because while you're teeing off, I'm grabbing my hot dog. And did you want a hamburger, Joe? Great. And now we're off. Right away we go. And you just got a $20 sale, right, for 2 people. So you can make $500 out of there at the turn. Now, again, if it's every day, it's not special. Right. So pick your day or 2 to keep it special. So I got to play golf on that day, because that's when I'm going to get the grill.
While we're on the topic of kind of that grab and go kind of thing, Mike, I one of my former clients, I used to love it. They committed to having the best hot dog ever. They must have had 27 different flavors of hot dogs and the homemade buns and all kinds of stuff. They just owned it. They were brilliant at it. And so is there anything that's kind of, you talk about these quick pizza ovens, for example. Grabbing a pizza at the turn, a slice of pizza, all that kind of stuff, you make it in 2.5 minutes. Are there some things that you've been seeing either on a beverage cart, in a canteen kind of 10th tee kind of grab and go kind of experience? Is there anything you're kind of seeing that is innovative or that's kind of been new?
There's been it takes a little bit of time to develop this one, but look, in a club, there's like probably 50 golfers that are there more than 3 times a week. And if it was me and I was one of those people, I'm not quite retired yet, so I can't be that guy. But if it was me, there would be a tuna sandwich that I would want a certain way, with pickles in it, with mayonnaise in it, made with Miracle Whip, not regular mayonnaise, right? And then we call it Mike's Tuna. And Mike's Tuna, I would order it every time I'm there. But other people would get interested in it because, hey, have you guys tried Mike's Tuna? Because it's really good, right? You can have our regular tuna, but you can have Mike's tuna. And so having specialty items that are made by the members of their recipes, we do a contest a lot where we recommend, and like we're trying to do something new and get people excited. Send us in your best meatloaf recipe. Man, you get grandma's recipe from the 1920s, right? And brought in
That's cool.
and then that becomes the specialty meatloaf every Wednesday night, right? But we did a taste test with it. We did it. We bring out and do tastings of these 5 meatloafs. Which one do you like the best? And then that's the one that goes on the menu. And everyone was part of it, part of the whole socialization part, right?
Cool.
So sometimes you don't have to come up with the items. You just have to go throw it out to the members because they've got some, man, if you had the club chocolate chip cookie, are you kidding me? You know, the recipe, my grandma's recipe would crush that, right? It's so good. Or her pancakes that I would fold in the egg whites with the, you know, with the batter, like right at the end. Like I still have her recipe cards on a picture, no kidding, at home, that I saved my 12 most favorite recipes of hers. And you know, so having those pancakes not just whipped in a batter from Bisquick, but actually handmade like that for your Sunday brunch, you know, are the things that separate you from a regular. Why would I quit my club when they take care of me so well?
I love it. That's awesome. Scott, what's the next question, bud? We got so much to go through still.
Yeah, we've got you know, this one's really at the heart of everything that Mike does, right? So
this is Mike's bread and butter right here, baby. This is it. Okay, so we got 23 minutes left, but we got I think 2 questions after this. But this is, I mean, yeah, like, so what would you, how'd you say this? So you get someone says to you, how can I improve my kitchen without undergoing a full renovation?
I'm trying to get through my list here real quick. Hang on. No, look, I think that here's the starting point of what we usually see. When you walk onto a line that's more than 10 years old, the biggest change in menus over the last 10 years is ingredients, that there's more flavors being added. It's not Caesar salad, which is just Parmesan and croutons, right, with a dressing. It's a Cobb salad with streaks of 11 different ingredients that have to be placed across this. And you don't want to pre-make all those. So you want to make them to order, right? Or a chopped salad where you have specific ingredients for that. When you turn to the cold side line, 95% of the time, I don't have enough working space. Or I may have working space where I have a sandwich table. And for some god-awful reason, a sandwich table has a cutting board that's 8 inches wide. And if you go home, you do not have cutting boards that are 8 inches wide. You have cutting boards that are 18 inches wide. And so, but when you say, hey, Mike, what would you put on my line? I says, you got to put on pizza prep tables. And they're like, but Mike, we're not making pizza. I go, I know. But a pizza prep table has the same inserts as that little 8-inch sandwich table, except they know that you have a pizza. So they put a 16-inch cutting board on it, take the 2 ingredients and raise it to the back. And it's only 2 inches bigger than a standard sandwich table. So all of a sudden you just got 16 inches of working space across your entire line. And most of the time you have 8 inches on 2 sides where you have the sandwich tables. And then when you get to the hot wells in the center, you have 4 inches of working space because the hot well is so tight. I call them little launch pads. You walk by and launch the food and it goes back towards the hood because you have no place to work. You can't cut on that. So here you come to your center line and you're working on 4-inch space to try and grab an ingredient that's just not there for you. You know, that's so then the plates go in the window and now the expo is going, oh gosh, I have to garnish it with this and garnish it with this and garnish it with this. Here we go. Start your clock. Because that plate, by the time it gets out, takes about a minute to finish. And the next one takes a minute to finish. And the next one takes a minute to finish. And here's the runner trying to hurry up and get it out there. And he doesn't know anything about the food because he's the runner, right? And then he goes and delivers it and says, oh, it's no CH. I thought that was no cheese. That's no chicken. And so now the ticket has to come back and now it has to get reworked. Plates want to go up in the window finished. All I do is pull 4 plates and they're ready to go. I don't have to do any garnishment, maybe a small one, right? Of something, a microgreen or something that you don't want to get heated up. But aside from that, it should be 4 plates and go. The only way you can do that is if you have enough inserts on your line. So you look at your menu, you count up your ingredients. Most of them have 60 to 80 ingredients. You're going to look at your line and go, wow, we have 24 inserts and doors. We don't have the ability to do this. Or we have the cold side way over there. No one splits their lines anymore, ladies and gentlemen. We're integrating the lines, right? So it's a little re-education on that. But, you know, I always say this to our clients. I just had one today. It's like, I had a person going through. It's like, Mike, I don't understand your concept. What do you mean about pizza prep tables? What do you mean about the shelf that you have that's holding the plates? I don't understand. I'm like, Let me send you to PCC, like Philadelphia Cricket Club. We just did it, right? I've sent 4 people there in the last 3 months to go look at it so you can see the line. Because once you see it, and don't talk to me, I know I'm the kitchen designer. We always get that. Well, you don't work in a kitchen anymore. Okay, fine. Then go talk to the ones that are. Because when I went to PCC and I talked to not the chef loves it. The line cooks. What do you guys think? Tell me what you think. Where do we make mistakes? He looks at me and goes, this is the best line I've ever worked at. And I've worked at 13 concepts, including 10 chains. Your operation is better than theirs. It's more efficient. And I have 350 seats here and we don't have any problem getting food out. Right? So it's the cold side where you get hurt, because you look at your hot side, you got burners, you got fryers, you got flat tops, you got charbroilers. Every kitchen has those. You can look at them, they go, yep, they got all the tools. Now, maybe they're old. The burners don't work very well. The charbroiler's too cold. The flat top just cooks in this little teeny space. So those need to be adapted. But it's the cold side when you turn that you have no landing space and no ingredients and no plates. So my window's like this, and then I wonder why I can't put up a 9 top, because I don't even have the room to do it. Right? So when that cold side gets reset, hot side gets technology added to it. We're not moving the hood. I don't need to move your hood. I just need to revitalize what we have. That's the box, I call it. The 10 by 20 cooking box. When that rocks, you're crushing it. When it stumbles, you're not going to keep staff, because no one wants to be unsuccessful. Who wants to work in a place that I can't even get plates out, that I can't even do my job? You wonder why we can't keep people. Back to that question, right? Mm-hmm. Is where it is in this kitchen, because I'll go work somewhere else that's efficient, that I can go be successful in and be paid the same than be paid here, even though I love the chef, but I can't be successful at my job.
So Mike, what do you call the difference between kind of a full renovation and an improvement?
A remodel. A
remodel. Yeah.
So we try and get this, and a couple things with this. One, you've got to put, what's really great about the golf people that work on your course, golf superintendents. You know what they do on the year 5, day 1? They come to you and they say, time for a new mower. Look, 5 years, that's all it lasts. And everybody goes, yep, he needs a new mower. So what does he do? He gets a new mower, right? Now, we put in a budget for food, like we might have a $25,000 budget for equipment. But at some point in time, the kitchen needs to change completely, right? We don't have to change the hood, but you might have to change the floor. You might have a walk-in that you're stepping on that water's coming up underneath, and that's a safety hazard, right? So walk-ins, and then if we need to change the hood out, it might be at 40 years. We may have to do that, and floors. So those are the kind of the zingers that add another week or 2 to the install. But if those things are okay, and these are with the last 3 ones that we've done, you can do a change in 2 weeks with less than 150,000, probably more like 100, to revamp the box, right? To get that fixed. And again, I love saying 100, but I just looked at invoices 18 months ago and today. Equipment is up 40%. 40%. So I can't quote 100 anymore. I really have to quote more like 125. Because I just found that out. So 40%, no Joe Biden, not 6%, 40% that it's gone up. So equipment's a little bit more expensive, but once that box is fixed, it's now what I call versatile. So in the future, at some point in time that I only put 2 hot wells in, you go, you know what, we need 3, no problem. Get a table for $2,000 to get the 3rd hot well in, take your sandwich, your pizza prep table at a 93 and make it a 68. And for $12,000, you fixed your kitchen to your new adapted menus, right? So it's very adaptable for the future. So you're right. And we can put that all under maintenance and repair if we're clever here, but put in a $20,000 budget a year for future. And so that in 10 years, you have $200K to reset your kitchen, just like you do with equipment on your golf course.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. It's very true. I always laugh when clubs will spend, $400,000 improving the bunkers, and they won't spend $40,000 kind of improving a workspace that is like delivers, 50% of their revenue or 40% of their revenue, or is probably the biggest cost center, that at the end of the day at a club, we're lucky if we can break even, let alone lose our shirts, right? So yeah. It's an amenity. It's not a revenue generator. Scott, go ahead, Mike.
I'll just add one last thing. I have 100% closing rate taking your board through a kitchen. 100%. They will come through and they go, yep, we need to spend that money. have not done one when I give them the tour. So just letting you know, we can get this done together as a team.
Well, I know you do, and I know you do lots of projects, Mike, and I've had lots of conversations with clients and that have seen your work and know the importance of an efficiency and improved kitchen. Scott, what's our next question? But I think we got two left, and I want to give some time for some
and we're going
openings.
to talk a little bit about inspiration when it comes to creating an exciting menu, a diverse menu. So, looking for your thoughts on that topic, which is always super important, right?
Yeah, I think we've touched on it a little bit. Again, like I said, I love including the membership in that question to get their ideas, because it's not easy to be the chef who always comes up with all the ideas there. I think getting the chef to chef. There is a program every March that is only for chefs. There were 3 or 4 of them that we've talked to in the last few months that went to that program, that got a lot of innovation and a lot of ideas around that. Has been really, really helpful. And because it's hard, again, for one person to be that person. But remember, don't go too crazy, because that's where when there's a lot of words on the menu that you don't recognize, that maybe you do as a chef. We've done this a lot. We've taken one of these menus out that was, again, I don't know all the terminology, what it means. Oh, that just means a roux. Oh, well, I didn't know what that meant. As an individual, especially in a prestigious location, you don't like to embarrass yourself. So you don't like to ask questions about something. I don't know what's in that, but I'm not going to be the one to bring it up. So I'm going to just not order it. And sometimes those real innovative things that are very simple of what you've done to the flavors, no one really understands. So make sure your servers explain it, so that I don't have to be embarrassed to be the one to ask the question, because I don't want to look like I don't know something. Does that make sense? A little bit in the description.
Mike, it totally makes sense. Mike, what do you think is the qualities? Like what makes a successful chef create great food versus a chef that struggles to create great food? What have you seen in your travels that is it their experience? Is it their skills? Is it their creativity? Is it their restrictions? I mean, look, I think chefs are unbelievably talented people. They're creative. They're like artists. It's like a superintendent that can do things with grown grass that blows my mind about how they figure out all the different things that make that happen. It's no different than a chef, obviously, that can make food come out of a kitchen and just wow people left, right, and center with some of the quality of the experience. But I also, realize that there's a chef A that is successful, and there's chef B that sometimes struggles to have the same results. Or people will say, "Oh my God, this new chef we have is unbelievable. You should see the old chef and what they produced." So, what do you think are the kind of qualities that has those chefs that are celebrated or that are successful in that regard?
For the most part, what I've always seen is that club chefs are super successful in events, right? When they put on the parties for the club and the member guest, they crush that. Just all the things that they do in the specialty end, overall, they do a really good job, because they get to be creative. They get to kind of go out of the box with some of those things. And even if it's a 4 or 5 course and you miss a course that's off base, it's okay. Like for the most part, they do a really good job. Where they struggle really is a la carte. And I know it's hard to be super creative with a hamburger, because it's just a hamburger, but some of it is just like, oh, a la carte. Like we even, or even worse, this is even a better example, the swimming pool, right? We say, hey, let's go crush the pool. How many of you love working the pool? I love asking this question at a regional. How many of you guys just get so excited about the pool? And it's more like, oh, you mean the 100 days of hell? Oh, you mean that awful thing out there that we have to do? It's like, wait, hold on here, guys. Hold on. You put on events like no tomorrow for 350 people, and you're struggling with a swimming pool? Like, take it on in the same way. Back to fresh grilling outside. That's 100-day, by the way. That's not occasion. You are grilling 100 days outside of the pool. You've now created a new concept for the summer, right? All summer long. So that's a no-brainer of doing that. And it's grilling salmon and other things too. So don't let the creativity stop at the events. Let it come into you just have to be careful with a la carte, because you can't spend too much time stacking things that look cool that you can't get out quick enough. So that's why some of the creativity has to be a little bit more in just the presentation of how it is. You can do a burger that's really boring. And when we had one of our projects, we took a burger and we stacked it all up. We put the big knife in it. We called it our knife burger, and we charged us $3 more for that one than we did on our regular hamburger. It was the exact same ingredients, but it was just how we presented it. Wow, look at that knife burger. That thing looks great. So, so I think it's a little bit of like, take on the things that seem basic to you that you can notch up, because you already do that next part that no one else can do. So let's take that little creative stuff and let's add a little twist to what you do. That's standard day fare. And don't be insulted when I say, hey, you're just like Fridays or just like Chili's, because those guys do some of those a la carte pieces really well. Let's go take a little bit of their ideas about how they do it, and let's put a little twist to it that I do at the club and make it better. So
just a little aside, you talk about the knife burger, Mike, and I always tell I always love my little story of one client I had many years ago. I wanted to do build your own burgers. So we did a lot of burgers. Okay. We did a lot of burgers, and we were always struggling. Like there was like 9 different burgers on the menu. And so finally I was just like, why don't we just have like build your own burger, and they can ask whatever they want. Like, it's like, if they want onions and lettuce and tomato and cheese and bacon and whatever, like, it's one price. I go, because I can assure you, for everyone that wants 9 things on it, there's 2 people that want 2 things on it. Okay. Like there's 3 people that want 4 things on it. And they're like, no. If the food cost is going to be crazy, I go, don't worry about the food cost. We're selling the burger. We must have sold 400% in increased sales in burgers when we did that, right? All people wanted to do is grab the little checklist and check off, because they want it their way. Like you said, they want their tuna sandwich their way, right? They don't want to say, give me the burger and, I don't want mustard and I want this and barbecue sauce. So, I just always say, like, don't let the food cost. I mean, you're never going to lose your job because the food cost is 41%. You're going to lose your job if people don't like the food. That's why you lose your job. Exactly. All right, Scott, what's the next question, man? Scott, what's the next question?
Yeah, our last question, and just really talking about planning. So, oftentimes the club business is seasonal. What are some key action steps that the club managers can take as it relates to F&B in the wintertime so that they set themselves up for success in the summertime?
My most favorite thing to do in the off season is you grab your menu. Okay. And what's interesting is we haven't really given a lot of thought to the layout. We just kind of pluck stuff in there. Is there a reason why your appetizer at the top is at the top? What was it? Some of them are alphabetical, I mean, there's no rhyme. Did you know that the top left corner appetizer will be your number 1 seller, no matter how good and bad it is? And I had one that had entrees, and the first item was chicken livers. Now, that was not their top selling item, but it wasn't a really smart one to start it off with either, right?
No,
it's not the first thing you want to read. No. So you take your menu, you go grab your menu mix from your computer, right? So let's take our last season. How many of the first item did we sell? How many of the second item? And then the next thing to write next to it is what the food cost of that item was. And then the next thing to write next to it is what's the net profit. And what you're going to start to you're just looking at numbers and items, right? So item 1 makes me $4. Item 2 makes me $5. Item 3 makes me $1 or $3. Wow. But it could be item 1. That one's at the top and it's making the least amount of money with it. You're going to learn some things from a financial end. I get it that we're not in the full world profit business, but holy cow, let's just be smart, right? Because here's what's going to happen. 2 things in your off season between now and next season. 2 things are going to happen. Food is going to go up. Labor is going to go up. So if you don't do anything, your costs are going to get out of control in 2 to 3 years, because we just kind of took the menu, revamped it, didn't do much, and holy cow, our numbers are worse, right? But if we can look at items and go, okay, there's something that's running at 60%. Now let's food costs, let's say it's at 41, right? Like we were saying, but not everything's at 41. Some are at 30 and some are at 50. And that's how we get to 40. So let's look at some of these 50 food cost items. Can we adjust the portion? Can we make it different? Should we just pull it off the menu because it's just hurting us too bad? Sometimes you have to do that, right? It's just, there's no way that chicken wings were out of control for a long period of time. They're now very reasonable, by the way. We've got wings now coming in at $1.40 a pound again. Holy cow. Here's a pound of them. I'll sell it to you for $11.95. That's a 9% food cost, right? For fresh wings, not frozen wings, because frozen wings will come in at $5 a pound. So got to do your due diligence on some of these things. Make them fresher, so that so that you can get some of that cost savings. But that exercise will open your eyes to a lot of things about where you have things laid out, which need to get reset, and what the costs are of some of the things. Because members aren't dumb. I saw a menu where it had soup. The soup was $10, right? And then they had salmon tacos at $9 on the same menu. I want you to just think for 5 seconds, what's the top selling item on that menu? Take your time. The salmon tacos were crushing it. They were the top selling item. Is amazing, right? You guys, why are we selling these tacos for $9? Like, sell them for $12. They'll sell great. And why are you selling soup for $10? No one's going to buy it. In fact, they're going to get upset. What are you doing to me, right? So, and then the last thing I'll say from a strategic end is add 95 cents to every item. If you have it on there at $9, please sell it for $9.95. No one's going to say anything. The key with this, 30 seconds. Any menu that's under $20, cents matter, right? So I'm selling something for 15, 14, 12. It matters that I add $12.95. We're not at Ruth Chris selling a steak for $56. You're right. That should have a round number, 56. But in chef world, we get lost with that. We always put an elegant type of menu. It's an a la carte menu. The 95 cents, take the total number of transactions you have. You're going to have 50,000 rings. You just made $50,000 by adding the 95 cents, not doing anything to your food cost or anything else. And guess what? Not one member is going to say anything about it. Unless you've got your burger at 14 and it really can't go to $14.95, then sell it at $13.95. Keep that one where it is. That's a price point they watch. They don't care about the others, right? So be a little strategic in that. There's a couple items you'll keep fixed, but many of the items you'll just raid 95 and no one will say a thing.
Mike, in your experience, is freshly made more expensive than buying pre-made from a supplier, or vice versa?
Freshly made is actually way less expensive in many, many items than having to buy it pre-made.
Right.
Big thing happens at the pool. We're like, oh, we're this great club. And then your chicken tenders at the pool are frozen, right? Really? Just make it a prep item inside. Tenders are also running at $1.60 a pound, by the way. Frozen ones are $5 to $6. You don't have to bread them to order. You can bread them a day in advance. So and then they just drop it in a fresh tender. Fresh tender only takes 3 or 4 minutes to cook. A frozen tender takes 6 to 8 because it's frozen, right? Yeah. And if your tenders don't sell for some reason, put them in the freezer for a day or two and pull them out. Right. So answering your question, yes, fresh is way less expensive than most frozen products. And they cook much, much faster.
Mike, if one of our Gig Nation wants to reach out to you and talk to you, I know you would talk to anyone about anything with regards to their kitchen or their advice or their menu. What's the best way for them to connect with you?
James, I have a GM that we've worked with for 12 years that still reaches out to us every now and then about a question, about his pool, about his operation, about his side note. We love that stuff. There's no charge for that. There's no fee. Questions are great. It's education. We all want to be educated. Mike@profitablefood is my email address.com. So Mike@profitablefood.com. And then our website is profitablefood.com. We have an info sheet there that you can get back with us there, that we'll get back with you as well. So we love answering questions. We love taking it. You can take pictures of your kitchen and go, is this okay? Should we fix it? Is there a value here? Let's see we might just need a couple things in your set, so let's get at it and see what we can do to make your job easier at your club.
And I know you work in Canada. I know you work in the States, and I know you'll talk to people all over the world. So, Mike, it was awesome. Scott, look, we were excited about talking about food and beverage. We were excited about talking with our guru, Mike, and did not disappoint, obviously. So, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's an aspect of the business that's so challenging for so many of us as club managers. And, I know that there's so many clubs out there that just struggle to, be successful. And there's a lot of reasons why, but it's nice to know that there are solutions to some of these challenges that we face. And, I just love getting to hear your thoughts and ideas, the strategy behind how the kitchen operates. And so, I think just a great opportunity for gig members to be able to learn a little bit today. And obviously, there is solutions to these challenges that we face, and really great to be able to speak with you for an hour or so and chat about them. So as always, thanks for your time and your contributions to gig. We really appreciate it. I know our gig members do as well. And it was great to reconnect with you again.
Great. Thanks, you guys. Really appreciate it. It's been great.
Thanks, Mike. All the best, bud. Enjoy your summer, play some golf, and good luck with the renovation, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks so much, gentlemen. Take care.